Welcome to my so-called card life, an inside look at the life of a low-end card reseller, brought to you by JC3 Cards and Collectibles, a premier reseller of trading cards available today on eBay, Collects, and whatnot. Whether you're looking to fill out that new set or just rekindle memories with one of your favorite players from your favorite teams. Let JC3 Cards and Collectibles help you find that card you're looking for and provide fast, secure delivery straight to your door. Welcome back, everyone, to my so-called card life, episode 6. That's right, we're already into episode 6. Well, it was another typical week for us here at JC3 Cards and Collectibles with daily listing and shipping. And then we repeat it with some more listing and shipping. Operations were pretty smooth this week with no major customer service issues to address. Everything flowed pretty clean this week. We continue to get caught up on some inventory sourced at the 2025 National Convention, and we're about 60% listed on that inventory, with more going up every day. We're sitting at just shy of 19,000 listings today and expect to surpass that plateau later this week if we can surpass our sales activity with new listings. That is always the battle. If you are struggling to find time to list and your sales remain strong, your listing count will stay flat or even decrease at times. That was the case for us this past week, with overall sales up 63%. And that includes net sales minus taxes and selling cost increases of 277%. That's right. Net sales with all those costs removed were up 277%. It was a pretty good week, but a week like that makes it tough to grow your listings count if you are struggling for time every day as a part-time operator. Now, I do want to call out a 277% increase in net sales is not typical. That is much higher than we would see on a week in, week out basis. I don't want anyone to take that number and say, oh my gosh, how do they do that? That was kind of a spike this week that was very unusual, but we made some big card sales this week that made a significant bump in that number. So we continue to see wins with that bulk buy of 2007, 2008 Bowman Elevation that we made last summer. I believe we made that purchase at the Oak Creek Card Show. We bought out a box at that show that contained probably 100 copies of Magic and Bird from this set. Magic Johnson, of course, and Larry Bird, if you're not a big basketball fan. And the last couple of months, they have hit that algorithm pretty hard, and we're now close to selling out on those. We had a couple other players from that set, but Magic and Bird were the big hitters from that. So I'm going to have to be on the lookout to see if I can get some more of that to keep that rolling. Star Wars cards have become a regular sales item for us in the last 30 days as well. This one's really simple math. The more Star Wars we list at this point, the more Star Wars we will sell. We also had a fun interaction over some content this week. We saw an overly aggressive commentator on our content that we share with the Dollar Box. They didn't share our views and wanted everyone to know about it. And we're okay with that. We want people to share their thoughts and ideas as a community. That's how we all get better. We here at JC3 Cards and Collectibles share with you some of the operational strategies that have worked to help us grow, and along the way, some that didn't, so that you can assess and make your own opinion on your next steps. We've never said that our way is the best way, and certainly not the only way. It's simply what has worked for us. If you have a better idea, by all means share it. Some of our most successful processes today were formed with feedback from viewers, so speak up if you have some thoughts. There's a saying that if you don't consistently look forward, you start falling behind. And we took that to heart this week and did a little digging into artificial intelligence, or AI, grading. While we are still on Team PSA if you want to grade for maximum resale volume, we are intrigued by the idea of AI grading. Just imagine you are a PSA grader. You woke up this morning with a hangover. You're wondering where things went wrong in your relationship and why your significant other ended the relationship last night. Then, on your way to work, someone hits your vehicle at a stoplight, you have major body repair to have done, and you were in between auto policies. Pretty dark description, I know. Not exactly a great 24 hours. But now here you sit at a desk with a box of cards, and someone wants you to look at them and tell you how great they are. Are you able to think anything is great at this point? Is your subconscious already predetermined to find flaws in those cards because your mindset is currently negative? Wouldn't it be great to get a psychologist's opinion on that? Well, this example is obviously extreme. However, how many have submitted a card you thought for sure would get a 10, only to get an 8 back and still be unclear why? Subjective human grading is susceptible to the fragile human condition. AI eliminates that part of grading and only looks at imaging data points on your card and can instantly compare it to thousands, if not millions, of other copies and determine where your card ranks against others and manufacturing perfection standards. It can even be coded to develop an algorithm for the ambiguous eye appeal. So, we spent some time looking at AGS. This is neither a promotion for AGS nor a warning for the service. We simply wanted to check it out and think about the possibilities. Master P in a lab coat promoting it was an interesting touch. And to be honest, we're not really sure how we feel about that in terms of their authenticity. Na. However, we saw some promising things in their service and will consider trying it at some point. They have service for sports, non-sports, and TCG cards, 20 business day turnaround for their basic services at either $15 a card for up to 29 cards or $12 a card for 30 or more submissions. They also have additional tiers for faster turnaround time and insurance protection, all the way up to 1-day turnaround times and $10,000 protection for $75 to $200 a card, depending on the quantity submitted. They offer 1-day turnaround for as little as $40 a card with quantity and only a limited $2,000 protection. In addition, they have add-on services like card cleaning, subgrades, and 3D laser mapping of your card. We here have some PC items that are not of investment type quality that we would consider grading simply for the protection of a slab that we could see submitting to give them a try. If you have experience with AGS, feel free to share your experience in the comments below. Perhaps the most exciting item of the week is a local quarterly card show that was held on Saturday. This is one of the larger shows in the area and one of only 2 shows we set up at as a vendor. We had a few sales, but the big win of the day was really in our buys at the show. And that's what we are going to spend the majority of our time on today. Negotiating for low-end card buys at shows. We'll be back after these short words from the GOAT Card Show, so sit back, open your favorite beverage, and let's take a walk into the grind of low-end card reselling. This right here is what victory looks like in the low-end trading card game. It's a mountain of cardboard, over 700 cards to be exact, and we scored every single one of them this past weekend for pennies on the dollar. No, we didn't win the lottery. We didn't stumble upon some long-lost collection. We just followed a playbook, a specific, repeatable set of strategies that anyone can use to turn a dealer's worst nightmare, packing up thousands of unsold cards, into your biggest win. In this podcast, we're going to show you the exact playbook we're talking about. We're not talking about high-end investment pieces. We're talking about the lifeblood of any reseller. The dollar box heroes, the forgotten inserts, and the overlooked rookies. This is the grind, and this is how you win it. Let's be real for a second. Walking into a card show can be one of the most intimidating experiences in the hobby. You're surrounded by thousands of cards, dozens of dealers who all seem to know each other, and prices that just make your wallet clench. You see those showcases filled with cards priced at hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars. You flip through a binder, and every card has a sticker price that feels like it was beamed in from another planet. You want to negotiate, you want to find a deal, but you're paralyzed by a few common fears. The fear of insulting a dealer with a low offer. The fear of looking like you have no idea what you're doing. And that overwhelming fear of simply overpaying, of walking out with a handful of cards and that sinking feeling that you lost the game before it even started. We've all been there. You buy a card for $10, only to get home and find out it sold on eBay yesterday for $3. You try to make an offer, and the dealer just gives you a flat no, without even a counteroffer. It's frustrating, it's demoralizing, and it makes you feel like the whole system is rigged against the little guy. And honestly, it can be. If you walk onto that show floor and play by the dealer's rules, you'll almost always lose, especially in the low-end market, where the margins are razor thin. When you're trying to make a profit on cards that sell for $5, $3, or even $1, you can't afford to pay the sticker price. The profit isn't made when you sell the card. It's made right here in the moment when you buy it. So, what if I told you there's another way to play? A way to shift the leverage from the seller straight over to you, the buyer. What if you could walk up to a table with total confidence, knowing you have a strategy that dealers actually listen to? That's what this playbook is for. We're going to break down two of the most powerful yet simple strategies that we use at every single show to buy stacks of cards at wholesale prices. These aren't just theories. These are the exact methods we use to bring home that 700 card stack. We're going to get into the art of building a stack, a technique that instantly changes you from a casual browser into a serious buyer in the dealer's eyes. It's the single best way to unlock bulk pricing. Then, we're going to talk about a secret weapon for any patient collector: leveraging dealer fatigue. We'll show you why the last 2 hours of a card show are perhaps the most profitable, and how to turn a dealer's exhaustion into your golden opportunity. By the end of this, you won't just have a few tips, you'll have a solid step-by-step plan. You'll know exactly how to approach a table, what to look for, when to strike, and how to negotiate a price that leaves both you and the dealer feeling like you won. This is how you stop taking prices and start making deals. The single biggest mistake I see new buyers make at card shows is trying to negotiate one card at a time. They'll pick up a $5 card and ask, "Would you take three for this?" And the answer is almost always no. Why would that be? It's not really worth the dealer's time or mental energy to haggle over a $2 discount. You haven't shown any real commitment to buying, and you've dragged them into a tiny transaction that barely moves their needle. This is where the power of the stack comes in. The idea is simple. Instead of negotiating on one card, you quietly go through the dealer's low end boxes and create a large pile of cards you want to buy. This one action completely changes the entire dynamic. Think about it from their side. A person picking up one card is really just looking. A person who spends 20 minutes respectfully pulling dozens of cards and setting them aside is an actual buyer. You're no longer wasting their time. You are putting together a significant sale for them. This visual commitment is your first piece of leverage. Dealers want to move cards, and you're showing them a golden opportunity to move a bunch of them is in one easy transaction. So how do you do it? First, you have to pick the right targets. Look for dealers with multiple long boxes of cards labeled $1, $2, $5, whatever it may be. These are your hunting grounds. For this strategy, you're going to ignore the showcases. The stack works best on high volume, low priced inventory that dealers are looking to liquidate. Start with one box and work your way through it. Don't make a mess. Keep the cards you're not taking neat and tidy. When you find a card you want, pull it out and start your stack on a clear corner of their table. As that stack gets bigger, so does your power. Think of it like a tiered system. If you build a small stack of, say, 5 to 10 cards, your leverage is still pretty small. You might get a, hey, 10 for 7 kind of deal on dollar cards, but you're not getting a huge discount. The real magic happens when your stack gets big. Once you hit 40, 50, or even 100 cards, the dealer's whole mindset starts to shift. That stack represents a nice chunk of cash and, more importantly, a significant reduction in the amount of the inventory they have to pack up and lug home. For a stack of 50 to 100 cards from dollar boxes, a bulk price that works out to 30 to 50 cents per card is a totally reasonable ask. That's a 50 to 70% discount off the sticker price, a number you'd never ever get on a single card. On our 700 card haul, that's exactly how we did it. We'd build a stack of, let's say, 48 cards from a dealer's dollar box, and then ask, what can you do on this whole stack? Would you do 40 on the pile? Sometimes they'd counter at 45, but a lot of the time they'd just say yes. And why not? You're offering them a quick, clean cash sale that gets 48 items out of their inventory in one shot. You've made their life easier. While you're building your stack, you're also doing a little treasure hunting. These low end boxes are often the unsorted leftovers from collections dealers have bought. This is where you can find gold, actually. In our big haul, we pulled premium soccer names like Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe, iconic players like Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Sanders, or even Michael Jordan. These weren't sitting in binders. They were buried in dollar boxes, just waiting for someone patient enough to dig. A few quick points on etiquette here. Be respectful of their space. Don't leave a chaotic mess. If a dealer is busy with another customer, just be patient. And when you start the negotiation, you're no longer talking about individual cards. You are negotiating on one complete item, the stack. That's the key. You've bundled the cards, and now you're buying the bundle. If building a stack is your main weapon, then timing is what makes it unstoppable. The single most profitable time to be at a card show is during the last 2 hours of the show or its final day. This is a period we call end of show scoop, and it's all driven by one powerful force: dealer fatigue. The best find of our day was from a box of about 500 wrestling cards we bought for a flat $90 using this exact method. After we got it to our table, we found valuable parallels, numbered cards, and even an autograph card inside. The value of just some of the hits got us to the $90 investment we paid for the whole box. This is the hidden bonus of the stack strategy. You're not just getting a discount, you're giving yourself hundreds of chances to find a card that the dealer missed. Just picture it. It's 3 p.m. on a Sunday. The show has been going on all day. The big rush of door opening buyers is long gone. The aisles are quiet. Dealers, who have been on their feet for 6+ hours, talking to hundreds of people, invisibly exhausted. Their energy is shot, their initial optimism has worn off, and now they're staring down the awful task of packing every single unsold card back into boxes, loading it all up, and driving home. Every card they sell now is one less card they have to pack. This is your moment. They need to avoid the physical work of packing up, and this becomes your single greatest advantage. During these final hours, dealers are way more open to bulk offers. Their mindset flips from trying to maximize profit on every single card to just maximizing their cash in hand and minimizing their pack out work. An offer they would have laughed at in the first hour of the show suddenly sounds pretty good on a slow afternoon. They're ready to make deals because a guaranteed cash sale, even at a steep discount, is often way better than the alternative of packing those cards up and hoping to sell them at the next show. This is where you combine the two strategies into what we call late day stack attack, the peak of this playbook. You use the quiet final hours of the show to go around and build your stacks. There are fewer people to compete with, and dealers are just happy to see someone who's actually there to buy. You can take your time, dig through those quarter and dollar boxes, and build your piles of potential profit. Let me give you a perfect example from our 700 card score for the day. There was a dealer who had about 5 long boxes of assorted sports cards, all priced at $1 each. We had been checking out their table earlier in the day, but he was always kind of swamped, and prices seemed to be fairly firm. We swung back around 2 p.m., and as the dealer was there scrolling on their phone because things had slowed down, clearly they were ready to go home and had somewhat checked out on the day. Foot traffic was significantly reduced, and some dealers were already starting to pack up. We spent the next 30 minutes quietly pulling cards and building a large stack of about 115 cards, and we organized it neatly and called them over to start negotiating a deal. Hey man, have a good show is kind of how I started out the conversation, just to break the ice. And he kind of sighed and said it was okay, and that he wasn't looking forward to packing all this up. And that was our green light. I pulled this stack together, I said, pointing to the pile, all from your dollar boxes. I know you're getting ready to head out. What's the best you could do for me on this whole stack if I take it off your hands right now? He looked at the stack and then back at his rows of boxes, and you could almost see the gears turning in his head. I can make one last sale, or I can start packing these cards, is what he was thinking. So he said, just give me $100 for it. And as I thought through that, that's about 86 cents a card. We counted with $80 on that stack, and literally it was all that was still in our pocket at that moment. Putting it at about 70 cents per card, he gladly accepted, and we paid him the cash, thanked him, and walked away with a pretty amazing deal on some liquid cards that would have been completely impossible 6 hours earlier. Now, there is a risk here. If you wait until the very end, some of the best inventory might already be gone. That is true. You might miss some of the obvious gems, but for low-end bulk buying, the trade-off is almost always worth it. The sheer number of cards in these boxes means there are always some overlooked treasures. And the deep discounts you can get in those final hours more than make up for any individual cards you might have missed. A good pro tip is to do a quick walkthrough of the floor earlier in the day to see which dealers have the best looking cheap boxes, and then make a plan to hit those specific tables for your late day attack. All right, you've built your stack, you've picked your moment, and now for the most important part, the negotiation itself. This is where a lot of people freeze up, terrified of saying the wrong thing. But if you just follow a simple framework, you can handle this conversation with confidence and boost your chance of success. It's not about being aggressive, it's about being prepared, respectful, and most of all, firm. First, let's talk about how to start the conversation. Don't just walk up and blurt out a number. That can come off as fairly abrasive. Start with a friendly, casual opening to build a little rapport. Something as simple as, hey, how's the show been for you? Or, you got some really cool stuff here. After a moment, you pivot to the stack. I put together a pretty good pile here and was hoping we could work out a bulk price on it. That phrasing is really important. You're not asking for a discount, you're asking for a bulk price. It shows you get the difference and that you're treating this like a volume purchase. Now, for the big question, the offer. You need to be bold, but at the same time, not insulting. A general rule of thumb for a big stack, which I consider 50 or more cards, from dollar boxes is to start my offer at around 50% of the total sticker price. So let's say you have 100 cards from the dollar box. Sticker total would be $100. A starting offer of $50 is a perfectly fine place to begin a negotiation for a bulk lot. Yeah, it might feel low, but remember the context. You're offering to buy a ton of stuff with cash at what might be a slow time for the dealer. You're solving a problem for them. Your offer reflects the value you're providing: speed, volume, and convenience in turning their inventory. When you make your offer, say it clearly and confidently. Don't phrase it like a question, such as, would you maybe take $40? Instead, make it a proposal. I can do $40 in cash for this whole stack right now. Adding in cash is a powerful little psychological trick. Cash is king at a card show. It's instant, there are no fees for the dealer, and it removes all risk for them. Showing them you have cash ready to go proves You're a serious buyer who can close the deal immediately. Now, be ready for one of three things to happen. First, and it's surprisingly common, is a simple yes, especially late in the day. The second is a counteroffer. If you offer 50, they might come back at 70. This is actually great. Some buyers might get discouraged by this, but it's really a good thing. A counteroffer means they're willing to play ball. Now, you're just haggling. You could meet in the middle at 60, or you could hold your ground a bit and respectfully explain your position. Something like, hey, I appreciate that, but I'm a reseller, so I need to, be in at a low enough price to make it work after platform fees and shipping. My best is probably around 55 on this. So this brings up a key point: honesty. Being transparent that you're a reseller can actually help. It frames your need for a low cost, not as you being cheap, but as a simple business requirement. The third possible response is a hard no. If that happens, don't get discouraged or take it personally. Simply say, okay, I get it. Thanks for your time, and be ready to walk away. Sometimes walking away is your best move. It shows you're disciplined and not emotional about the deal. More than once, I've started to walk away only to have a dealer call me back and say, all right, fine, let's do it. I can tell you I walked away from some offers at this recent show. I was looking at a box of soccer cards. The dealer had posted on it $45 for the complete box. And they actually verbally came over and said, hey, you like soccer? $45, that box is yours. And kind of looked at that box and found a handful of names that I was familiar with and felt I could do something with. But overall, the box was about 90% commons. And as I looked at it, felt there was a lot of risk involved as a buyer on that. I could not confidently say I'd be able to flip a lot of that. And a lot of that could have just ended up in my value boxes, trying to flip it for even less. So I countered with a $30 offer, and shared that, hey, I'm a reseller, and I'm not confident that a lot of what's in that box would be usable for what I do. So to accommodate for the risk I'd be taking, 30 is about the best I could do. The dealer responded, nope, I'm firm at 45. I can't really do anything better than that. And I said, I totally understand. Unfortunately, this box isn't going to work for me this time. And we both carried on with our day. One thing that I have to say you must never do in a bulk deal is start nitpicking the cards in the stack. Don't say, well, I'll do 40, but this one has a soft corner. The second you do that, you've broken the entire frame of the bulk deal and you're back to negotiating single cards, which kills all of your leverage. The deal is for the stack as a whole, warts and all. You also shouldn't start quoting eBay comps for individual cards in the stack. The negotiation isn't about what one card is worth. It's about a fair price for the entire lot. Finally, remember you're building relationships. If you go to the same shows, you're going to see the same dealers. Be polite, be fair, and become a familiar face. Dealers are way more likely to give their best prices to repeat customers who they know are serious and easy to work with. When a dealer recognizes you and knows you're there to buy in volume, the negotiations get faster, friendlier, and a whole lot more profitable. I can tell you I had at least one instance in the recent show where The dealer actually mentioned the relationship we had built as the reason why they agreed to a lower price. And it became kind of a, hey, I know you come back to me all the time. Every time I'm set up, you stop by the table. I'll do that today. Just remember, maybe next time you'll remember the great deal I gave you, and maybe next time I'll get a better deal on it as the dealer. And I think that's entirely fair. There's a little give and take. You start building that relationship. You start understanding each other's operation, and it really benefits in the long run if you can build those relationships. So, what does it actually look like when you put this playbook into action? Let's go back to that mountain of cardboard we started with. That 700 card stack wasn't one single giant deal. It was the result of about a dozen smaller targeted buys, all using the principles of stacking and timing. Our average cost per card across the whole haul was well under $1. For a reseller, that's rock bottom acquisition cost is really everything. Let's break down the money to see why this is so important. When you sell a card on a platform like eBay, they take a big cut, often around 12% plus a fixed transaction fee. If you sell a card for $3, you don't get $3 in your bank account. After fees and shipping supplies, your net profit might only be a little over $1. Now, if you paid $1 for the card at a show, your profit is pretty small. But if you paid 30 cents for that card because you bought it in a big negotiated stack, your profit margin then starts to expand. In the low end game, the money is made on the buy. Our purchases were proof of this. That box of roughly 500 wrestling cards for $90, that's an 18-cent per card average. Finding just one $10 card in that box pays for a number of other cards in that box. That stack of 115 cards we bought for $80, well, that's about 70 cents per card. We found multiple cards in that stack that will easily sell for $5 each. Everything else then becomes pure profit. This strategy is about playing the long game with volume. It is a grind. It takes patience, discipline, and a willingness to dig through thousands and thousands of cards. But you can't really argue with the results. You're protecting your business from the brutal reality of online marketplace fees by making sure your cost of goods is as low as humanly possible. You're also giving yourself hundreds of at-bats, hundreds of chances to find that one undervalued card that pays for the entire stack, or maybe even the entire day. This isn't just about flipping for a small gain either. This is how you build an incredible inventory of really cool cards for a fraction of the cost. Our haul was full of Hall of Famers from every sport, hot modern rookies, fun, quirky inserts that collectors love. These are the cards that fill our online stores, our quarter boxes at future shows, and our mystery packs. We turned a dealer's leftovers into our own treasure chest, and we did it by following a simple, repeatable playbook. All right, folks, we're deep into the playbook now, and if you're getting some real value out of this, do us a huge favor and smash that like button. It seriously helps the channel grow and tells me you want more content just like this one. And if you're trying to build a card business or just want to be a smarter collector, make sure you subscribe because we're dropping content like this every single week. Now, let's get back to it. So, there you have it. That's the complete playbook on low end card negotiations. It's not magic and it's not rocket science. It really just comes down to two things: building a large stack to create leverage, and using the end of show dealer fatigue to your advantage. This is how you flip the power dynamic. You stop being a random customer buying one card at a time and become a serious operator clearing out inventory. You stop paying retail and start buying at wholesale. So let's quickly recap the most important steps. 1. Find dealers with deep, low end inventory. Look for $1, $2, and $5 boxes. 2. Methodically and respectfully build a large stack of cards. Remember, volume is your leverage. The bigger the stack, the better your price. 3. If you can, wait until the final hours of the show or the last day. A tired dealer is a motivated dealer. And 4, start the negotiation respectfully. Ask for a bulk price and make a confident opening offer in the 50 to 60% range of the sticker price. And 5, be ready to haggle, but also be ready to walk away. Your real power is in your discipline. Those 700 cards we bought this week are proof that this system works. And we've repeated this playbook over and over at every card show we attend. We ended up paying approximately 34 cents per card on the day. It is a grind, there's no doubt about that, but it's a profitable one. And this is how you build a real, sustainable inventory in the low-end card market without going broke. You make your money on the buy, and this playbook is your guide to buying smarter than everyone else on the floor. Now I want to hear from all of you. What are your go-to negotiation strategies at card shows? What's the best deal you've ever scored from a dollar box or by waiting until the end of the day? Drop your stories and your best tips in the comments below. We do read every single one, and we all learn from each other in this community. If you want to see more deep dives into the business of sports cards, from sourcing and grading to selling and scaling, make sure you subscribe to the channel and with those notifications turned on. Thanks for watching. Now go out there and build your stacks.